Hi guys, what's up? It's me, Meat Puppet, the usual, bringing you another video, and today it's about Sha'Carri Richardson. She has been running, she does whatever she has to do to win for the freaking Olympics, and everything was kinda Gucci, right? But for some reason, one day she was just chilling, doing her training, trying to qualify for the Olympics and everything, and some random person just come up to her and tell her, hey, I have to tell you some terrible news, and your mom passed away. And I'm like, no, you don't do that. I mean, I mean, I mean, the fact that somebody random, you know, came to you and tell you that your mom passed away, not the family or whatever, I would assume, man, that's so, I don't know, it's very disconnecting, right? And she's in a whole controversial thing right now because she fell down for some odd reason and she just wanted to chill. And of all the things that she wanted to do, she took some spliff, some marijuana, and went smoking that, bada bing, bada boom. And she got drug tested. And I just found out that if you smoke weed, you are banned from the freaking Olympics. I was like, what? Really? The fact that you consider like weed like a doping thing, I mean, it's not like weed can actually help you win a sport, right? I mean, you can still drink and do a bunch of other stuff that I think actually should be like illegal, like smoking and drinking, because hey, that's actually bad for your body. But hey,
we all have our different struggles. We all have our different things we deal with. But to put on a face and have to go out in front of the world and put on a face and hide my pain, who are you? Who am I to tell you how to cope when you're dealing with a pain or you're dealing with a struggle that you never experienced before or that you never thought you would have to deal with? So, Marcellus Wiley, I know we talk track more than any other show. What is your reaction to Sha'Carri Richardson potentially missing the Olympics over a failed drug test?
Yeah, my first reaction is I'm actually relieved because of the circumstances. I'm going to be real about this. I owe her an apology that mentally I was having a conversation thinking when the news broke that it was performance enhancing, steroids, etc. And then it came out to be weed. And then I realized, oh, okay, I know what's going on right here because I've been through this situation before. I did lose my mother while I was still an active player in the NFL. And you know what it didn't give me? A license to ill. It did not give me a license to break rules and restrictions. The thing about this one is so many players that used to smoke weed and play, I had teammates as well. There's a Percy Harvin quote out there that says it wasn't a game he played in 9 years that he wasn't high. Percy Harvin. So I know that this has always been around the culture. Let's talk about the circumstances, because the guys who used to play and used to get high used to always say, don't pay the stupid tax. And what is the stupid tax? That means you know when they're going to test, and you also know the amount they're going to test for.
that's a very good point. Because let's say if I'm in that situation, if I knew my mother passed away and she was watching at me from heaven, she would never want me to do something because she passed away, for whatever reason she might have passed away, because now I'm in a position that they found out I smoke and now I might be banned from the whole event.
Don't get caught. So in this situation, I'm looking at Sha'Carri and I'm saying simply, you got two choices, not three. You thought you had a third. Don't smoke weed, whatever the marijuana, edibles, whatever you are, or smoke it and don't get caught. But then in this world today, there's a third option, I think, that is being feelings driven. It's being driven by your own justifications of behavior. And it's really reversing the equation of logic. So people are going through their own circumstances. I went through my circumstance and losing my mother. And then because they're going through that circumstance, they think that is now going to empower them to do what they want to do. And that's not how the world works. We talk about this situation right now. It's unfortunate. It certainly is a trivial conversation about the legalization of weed in America and in sports. We'll get to that. But the point is, I'm sorry, you knew the rules, you broke them. You got to deal with the consequences.
I mean, this is something that a lot of guys can actually testify from what they have seen. It's a lot easier as a girl to, use your sadness, crying, asking for something, give your reason, and people usually make an exception about the punishment they're gonna give you, or you have to understand her, how she exploded, how she overreacted. It doesn't happen for men. But back in the day, the rules were quite strict with men and women. It's usually when it has something to do with sports. Because, hey, you have to be that and that's it. It's a performance that you have to provide. But slowly I realized with time, the older I get, more after 2000, everything is feelings based. Like really a lot feelings based. That if I know how to ride it, even as a man, you can ride that train. But you have to be careful because you have to pinpoint that like a ninja. You cannot just randomly do it. I think it kind of sucks in a circumstances, but still, it would not surprise me if they said, you know what, we made it illegal and we don't want you to do that. Because it might be that they want to set an example on her because they're afraid that are so many people coming from America that they want to burn the flag and all this stuff. So if they give her an exception for smoking weed, then you have that BMX girl that's going to burn the flag. What she said, she's going to burn the American flag. And that other lady with the blue lips that turned her back against the flag when the national anthem is gonna play. I'm like, you are training to play for America. So they're gonna play the song. But the fact that they played the song at a random moment, you're like, they did it against me to prove a point, so I hate it. I'm like, America, what's wrong with you? I mean, America is the only country that people hated so much, but they don't leave. I'm surprised. Why do you hate America so much, but you don't realize how privileged you are? And the fact that you want to go to an event, but you hate the country so much, so you might burn the flag to prove a point? And the fact that she, the girl that actually turned her back when they played the national anthem, she turned her back and then put the shirt on her face like, wait, you had the shirt ready just in case? I don't know, man. It's this Olympic is gonna be special, but I'm gonna watch the Olympics this year because it's just like a drama channel.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack here. I will start by saying this. You could submit that Sha'Carri's support staff and society failed her in not adequately providing her athletically legal ways to grieve and to cope with the loss of her mother, as I'm sure she's still trying to do. Now, with that being said, there are stupid rules in sports.
Okay.
But you still have to adhere to the stupid rules in sports, regardless of how stupid they are.
Yeah.
Before there was Sha'Carri Richardson, there was a man by the name of Christian Coleman. You want to know why we ain't talking about Christian Coleman? Because he's suspended right now.
Yeah, he gone.
And he's suspended because of a stupid rule. In track and field, if you have a whereabouts failure, 3 of them over 12 months, you get suspended. Christian Coleman had a whereabouts failure. As an Olympic athlete or an aspiring Olympic athlete, you have to update your location whenever and wherever you travel to. Because if a drug tester comes to your home and you are not there, strike one. So Christian Coleman, reigning world champion in the 100 meters. He's not going to be at the Olympics this year because of a stupid rule. Gabby Thomas, the fastest living woman to run the 200 meters. She just ran the fastest time ever, second to FloJo. She was provisionally suspended because she had a whereabouts failure. 3 of them. If not by the grace of an Uber receipt showing that she was home when the drug tester said she wasn't, we would not be seeing her, the fastest woman alive in over 200 meters, running at the Olympics.
Yeah.
A stupid rule. But you got to adhere to stupid rules. We have seen greater athletes be punished for longer for something lesser because of stupid rules.
I didn't know they had so many stupid rules. My wife has stupid rules, but I adhere to them. It's just a fact. You just need to adhere to specific stuff, right?
So the fact of the matter is, regardless of how dumb the rule is, you have to adhere to it. Now, it's a loss for a lot of people. Probably the fans,
Yeah.
Sha'Carri, Nike, the games. It's a loss for a lot of people. But so, as I look at it, let's please not make this racial.
Who did that?
Everybody trying to. It's not racial. It is not an American rule.
Yeah, it's not racial because racially maybe most black people usually smoke weed to do something about it. But then again, they placed that rule a long time ago. Well, I'm not sure. But is it racial?
The rule for her suspension is because of WADA, World Anti-Doping Agency. World. It is not about America, and it is not about trying to hold someone down because of their color of their skin or because of their race. There are so many racial issues in society that we have to be very accurate when we try to bring them up.
But that's not progressive.
It is not an American restriction. It is a world restriction. So that's the other thing on my first lap that I just needed to clarify.
Yeah, I'm glad that you talked about it in those terms. And you really put the boundaries out there, and I want to expand on those boundaries. One, missing your testing up to 3 times is not even a stupid rule in itself, because the guys who are guilty are intentionally missing those tests.
Could be true.
So no, ain't no could be true. It is true. Let me tell you that. 2, Sha'Carri, you lost your discipline, and now you're going to be disciplined. I'm going to remind you of something you told me before that is actually one of the great Wileyisms. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. Now, what clouds this one is, it's not her own doing. She's grieving a loss. So in that grieving process, what are the consequences of your actions? And what this situation shows us that there could be grave consequences, because the Olympics only comes one every 4 years, grave consequences by your choices. But it's still a stupid tax that you gotta pay. And I want people to separate the emotional pull of her losing her mother from the reality of this is not still an opportunity for you to not abide by the rules. Let me tell you about these same rules from WADA, from USADA. God, this is so easy. The drug is banned in competition periods. Okay, so far most people are like, what does that mean? It's defined as beginning at 11:59 at night on the day before a competition and ending at its conclusion. Come on now. Come on, man. Wait a minute. You just basically told me a few hours. You got to be under 150 nanograms per milliliter. Okay, so now we're having a different conversation, because what reality, smoking weed, whatever your marijuana level was it right before the race? Was it a part of your training cycle? Because marijuana stays in your system up to a month. Cocaine, heroin, 2 to 5 days. So if you think about this situation, and God, I know too much about this because I had too many weed smoking friends and teammates. They know how to cycle in and cycle out. And that's why they always say, don't get caught or don't do it at all. That's the tough one about this, the emotional pull because of her loss.
Let's stay with the emotional pull, because of her grieving a tremendous loss, a loss that some people have had to deal with in life, and if you haven't yet, you will have to eventually, but we all have to deal with tough things in life, so I'm not going to weigh one against another. But because of her grieving, I'm reminded of this. You don't make rules based upon exceptions. You make rules based upon the norm.
Yes.
If you're driving to the hospital and you're with your significant other, say you're with your spouse, with your girlfriend.
I love that fact. You make rules about the normal thing that's happening, not the exceptions. That's a very good point. And that is something that a lot of woke people need to understand. We don't change the rules because something is happening because it's normal. Because no, normal is normal. That's why we have specific rules. But it seems in this age, we make a lot of rules for the exception. And it messes up with everybody.
House with your girlfriend, whatever the case may be, and her water breaks. Got to get to a hospital ASAP. So you run a red light.
Yeah.
Well, we can't now remove all red lights in the nation because your running of the red light was actually very justified in the instance.
Yeah.
You actually have to have a rule based upon a norm, not an exception. But also, rules aren't necessarily in place just to protect you. Most rules are actually in place to protect other people. I recently said this on Twitter, but I'll say it on the show. You can say it's cool to legalize weed in competition while you're running in a straight line, but it's probably not great to legalize weed in competition if you're throwing a javelin. It's probably not great to legalize weed in competition if you're using a pole to elevate over a pole 18 feet high, the pole vault. It's probably not great or safe to legalize weed in competition if you're throwing a discus, spinning around, and then heaving an object roughly 180 to 250 feet through the air with people, referees and whatnot, marking the distance. It's probably not a great idea. We have rules for the norm, not rules for the exception. So while this might be a merit-based exception, if you will, you don't make a rule based upon an exception.
Okay, well, I think I get the gist of what the heck is happening. I guess you guys had the gist of what is happening. I'm actually surprised that even if she smoked weed and she didn't have that much in her system, I think it wasn't at all that she's just smoked it. It was more like if she had less in her body or something like that, it might have even be better for her. And she won't even get a suspension, even if she might have weed in her body. I'm not sure. I don't know the little numbers, but I get what you're trying to say. Or she could have tried a different special drug that was shorter in effect. I don't know, man. But it surprises me. But in the end, all I can say is she should have smoked. It was too important for her. I don't think any dying or parents that passed away would like to even believe that my daughter's gonna do something because they passed away, and now she is banned from the whole competition altogether. Maybe she might not even participate anymore, and it just sucks. But hey, stuff happens, and yeah. But I do like the thing. We make rules for the norms and not the exception. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment. Thumbs up in the video. And hey man, see you guys next time. Share. Peace.
Don't get me wrong, ma cosa kita bong. Butta fire na mi blonde, kush hash, purple skunk, criollo, colombici, jam, turloqueta, verdetta, welcome.